All right, guys. Hey, this is Ashley Williams. I am the founder of Legacy Farms Missions, the owner of Legacy Farms Coffee. Eli says I am the head roaster and bag packer. That's what he calls me. And I am happy to do so. We also own Legacy Farms Coffee is Finca Williams, Finca Juancito. Hopefully the next couple of months, it's going to be Finca Eli. And there's a little town, a little area community called Llano. If you guys listen to us much, you hear us talk about Llano a lot. It's where we dry our coffee. There's an older farmer there, and he owns about 200 acres in that area. So we're looking into maybe buying a few acres there, putting together like a little shanty house or something so that next year we'll be a little more organized. We're going to try to dry our coffee, hopefully on this new land. We do that, it'll give us opportunity. We've got Pedro and a couple guys out there. Anyway, so we're going to start trying to dry coffee for some other guys. So we'll see if that works out. But it's a nice hot area. It's some big investments. I think it was $1,700 for the tester, for a laboratory grade tester. We're waiting to see how much the land is. It's got water on it, stuff like that. Excuse me, I've been driving today and went to town to go grocery shopping. Just a little bit of a sad day. Jonathan has always been with us throughout the entire harvest. Well, most of the years he lived here year round. But now he's got his own job, getting ready to turn 19 next week. I hated that he left a week before his birthday. So he's going to be in the States by himself. That's the first time that's ever happened. I think it's bittersweet. He's sort of looking forward to it. Julia will be home in about a week or so. Eli and I are more likely, we're looking at the end of March. We've got to make those decisions this week, but it's not looking real promising. We're having a lot of labor trouble. If you guys look on my Instagram account, really been bragging on my older son, Jonathan. He has finished up a bodega here to make us a secured storage area. And last year he did a project where I came in June and built 6 massive columns and built a footing. And then I drew out a design, and he came in. He didn't want to go to college. So he said, if I can build this by myself, it proves that I shouldn't have to go to college. I said, well, that's up to you either way, but you can sure build it. So he built us a beautiful wet mill. So his job, since he'd been here, I had to run it about a week because we had some passport problems. So the family didn't get here on time. But I ran it for about a week. And the wet mill is where you take the cherry off the coffee bean, and then it separates it. And the coffee cherry goes down one chute, goes underground into a little lake that we have, and then it dries there. We mix it with, we add in calcium, chicken poop, a lot of different things. And that's where our organic mass comes from that we put on the plants sometime around in June. But we were pulping every day. The way workers come up, they weigh, they pulp. And so you guys that got my message today, it showed like a little water hose shooting into a tank. And I said, that's what today's, it might be a rant before it's over with. But anyway, when we bought this place, we bought it 9 years ago, I guess. Bought it in March of 2014. So we're coming, this is 10 years then, coming up on 10 years. But anyway, 30 years ago, it used to be a full-blown coffee farm, mill, everything. They did everything here on the site. So they used quite a bit of water. And so their lines have been, they don't bury them very deep. So when they quit using them, people dug them up, stole them, whatever. So we ran new lines to the river, stuck it in the rivers like everybody else did. The water was really sandy and all that. A lot of times when it rained, it got dirty. So we decided we were going to be, for quality control's sake, we were going to build a big tank. So the first thing we built was like a little retaining wall. And then eventually we got fancy. We actually dug a trench and diverted the river. There's a drier season where we don't have a ton of rain, but there's still thousands of gallons, passing that area. So we dug a little diversion. And so we built a full blown tank. It's probably 30 feet long, 8 feet wide, and probably about 3 feet deep. And all it does is just slow the water up. We've got a couple of 2-inch pipes in the top of it, so water's not rolling over the top of it. So about a foot from the top or 6 inches from the top, there's some 2-inch pipes, and that's the overflow comes out. And at the bottom of the tank, we've got a 2-inch line, and then I added in 2 or 3 or 4 1-inch lines so that other people, that anybody wanted to, could come in, hook up to it. And some of the guys did, some of the different neighbors did, and then they could get water. And so our guys go up there probably once a month, clean the sand out, keep it clean. And we've done this for years and spent a lot of money running 2,000 feet of 2-inch pipe from there to here. So the other day, all of a sudden, we started cranking up the mill and everything started rolling. We were filling the tank up, and the water just stopped. And I will say, for you guys that know a lot about coffee, what's called honey water, meal water, or dirty water, that's where people will put the coffee in a tank and wash it, and then they take the coffee out, and then they wash another batch and another batch. If you pour that stuff on any plant, it'll kill it within a couple of days. But what we do, mainly we use water because we do so much honey process. Mainly we use the water to move the pulpa into the pulpa lake. One side of the lake is built out of giant boulders. So it's about 6 foot thick out of, giant boulders. So it's got a lot of cracks. And so the water comes in, rolls out, and then we've got some ditches running at about a 30-degree angle for quite a ways throughout the coffee farm. And then that water just goes there and runs down the hill. And it's one of our most productive areas because it gets a tiny bit of that honey in there with it, and it just fertilizes and waters the plants. There are 2 other sediment lakes, but it never has gotten to either one of those 2 before it could go back into the river. But I wouldn't be afraid to put it in the river. It's clean enough. Some of the guys drink it because it is clean water. And after it's washed the coffee, it tastes like the honey off the coffee. But either way, we've been doing this for years. We've been inspected by the government. It's completely legal. What we do is completely safe. They've tested the water and all that stuff. So it'd be safe to put it in the river. Long story short, all of a sudden the water just stopped. And so we didn't know what to do. So that coffee was supposed to be washed. So we just said, well, we're going to honey process it, which means you take the cherry off, let it soak in its own juices, ferment in its own juices, and then you put it out on the farm and you dry it. So red, sticky, sweet. So it got the nickname honey process. So longer story short, the other day we just got in the car. We took some of the workers. Went out there, looked at it, but it didn't seem logical what they were saying. It didn't seem possible that all of a sudden there's no water. This water is a river. It comes from the river. The 2-inch pipe that we have comes from the river. Water goes past it, over it, around it, and all that good stuff. And it goes to our 40-foot waterfall. So we've got this beautiful a lake that's probably 40 by 40, just right under the waterfall. So you can literally swim out under the waterfall. There's a 45-foot waterfall on the farm. One of the main reasons I bought the farm. Fell in love with it the day we saw that. And so for years, we've gone out, and it's quite a hike. It's to the bottom of the farm. And it's just a waterfall. It's beautiful. Who owns a waterfall? So anyway, it's just not there anymore. There's no water. And so we go and look at our little tank to see what's going on. And there's this giant 4-inch shiny pipe running right over the corner of our little thing. And so we just started following it. And the boys followed it. And somebody, we haven't found exactly who, but we think it's the county. We live in San Jose County. And so the neighbors said that that's who it was. And so We go and look at it, and somebody has built this massive tank, and all the water is going into that tank. And then that 4-inch pipe. Now, we've been watching as we go to Llano, we've been watching them bury this giant pipe on the way to San Jose. But for whatever reason, they blocked off the entire river and are using all the water, and they're selling it to these two communities. So because the county did it, they can do what they want to do. So they're allowed to block that off, and it's going to two different water projects, which we all, donate money to water projects, and you don't really know what all happens with that. But to me, it's one of the most corrupt things I've ever dealt with. So the water projects, the county came together, and there's two communities that needed more water or something like that. So they came and blocked the river off. So everybody from me and below me that uses the water is just done. So hopefully Friday, we're going to be able to go and talk to them and see if there's some kind of solution, if we're going to be allowed to have, if there's going to be any overflow, or if they know what's going on or anything. But so if not, we're looking at having to build something the size of a regular swimming pool so that we can store enough water throughout the year from other means, which there's a river below us, but we would have to pump water about 500 feet up a distance of about, I'm guessing it's about 120 feet up the hill. So it's a altitude difference of 120 feet over probably 500-foot distance. And we would have to get probably a diesel motor and a pump and pump the water up there into our tanks, or basically a swimming pool, and then store that until it's harvest time, and then use that to wash our coffee. And then that water would go, into the farm to irrigate the farm. So that's sort of where we're at right now. Richard's on, he's asking about any luck with the workers. That's what's crazy. Last week we were struggling to get 20 people out here, and a couple times I just go in my Dodge truck. Excuse me, I'm taking off my knee brace. I'd go out my Dodge truck because there just wasn't that many people, and I'd pick up like 8, 10, 12 people. The rest of them would walk in. So today, I think there was 46 people. Yesterday, there was 46. So we picked about 6,000 pounds of coffee today. Jonathan's gone. So Eli and I went out there and pulped it. I let him be in charge. He was running the machine. So he was running back and forth. I'll do an Instagram post tonight. You got some pictures of him, some of the workers. But the water that comes from the river and the project that we're on, we ran those all night last night, filling up some tanks that we have. So we tonight we had enough water to move the pulpa, which is that cherry. And so we're going to fill those tanks up, and then tomorrow morning we'll start dumping coffee into the canal. So if you guys have bought our coffee, there's one called Canal Washed, and it's a 2-foot by 2-foot ceramic. Well, I mean, we used white ceramic tile, but it's a ceramic tile. They call a canal like a ditch, but it's it's made out of concrete, and then they tile it. And so that's what we'll do in the morning, and I'll get some pictures of that because I think I'll be here tomorrow. And so we'll wash probably, I think that's going to be about a ton of coffee, 2,100 pounds of coffee that we'll wash tomorrow. So I'll have that on video as soon as I can. I'm sorry, but my wife just made banana bread, and I just made a pot of Sargie Moore. And so out of my new favorite coffee cup. And so when I get back to the States, I've got a couple of really cool coffee cups at the end of March. So I don't know, Eli said we should do like a drawing. And so anybody that wants a coffee cup, they all come in pairs. I try to buy them in pairs. So we'll do some kind of drawing and give away a couple of things, the coffee cups, as long as they don't have any kind of markings on the bottom. I know that they've been made here, and most of the time I can see where they're made at. But this is the Mayans are down by Llano, They claim that they've lived there for over 2,000 years. And that's used to be, we used to rent the farm from them, but this is some kind of Mayan writing. I'm not sure exactly what any of it means. Probably means coffee, but we'll give away some coffee cups. I found some pretty cool machetes the other day. So we're going to bring back some machetes. We're looking to be back on, I think, the March the 25th, I think is what we're shooting for. I haven't told my wife yet. She thinks we're coming back on the 12th. But we're hoping we get back by then, and that should let us do the last picking like I want it to. The weather's been so weird. It's been wet one day, dry one day, foggy, rainy. We haven't had that much rain, so the rain's more of a problem. But when the workers get up and it's like misting rain, or if it's just pure fog, a lot of times they just go back to bed. I can't fault them for that, you know. I can get mad about it and complain about it. Oh, good. I sent a message to her one day about is she going to be able to make coffee cups. So yeah, we're going to have to get together and figure out some good coffee cups. Eli has got he's got a section of the farm he calls Eli Mountain. And then Jonathan has his own farm about 5 miles from here, and that's Finca Juancito. And man, he's been turning out some good coffee. The Perinema from that farm is really nice. I'm going to be roasting after the podcast for a couple hours. I've got some samples here. But Sunday, I've got some Anacafe 14. I'm not sure how it got the name or whatever, but that coffee I'll be roasting. So we're going to have a couple, maybe 200 pounds of that green this year. So I think I'm probably going to split it up, sell half of it green, and then I'll roast half of it. So the Anacafe 14 is going to be nice. I think I'm going to have, a friend of mine gave me some geisha. I like geisha, but to me it's a little more tea-like than coffee-like. If you get like the geisha I had was a 96-point geisha, and it tasted amazing, but it tasted more like tea than it did coffee. So, but anyway, I show up one day and my buddy Aban brings out like 80 or 100 little tiny plants, and or maybe he did seeds. I'm not sure, but anyway, I think he did seeds, and then we put them in our nursery. So I ended up with 80 plants that are in production now. So I have 80 plants of geisha. Oh, Dana's saying she wants some. So Richard, we got your wife in business now. But the geisha plants I haven't tried yet. I ended up giving all my geisha last year to one of my customers that was just bragging on geisha, and I said, I only produced 7 pounds, so I think I just gave it to him. So that's a coffee that I'm going to get to cup. I'm hoping Anna has enough time. The building that the coffee's in right now is packed full, and so she's having trouble getting everything. But starting on Monday, she's going to get a couple of guys that'll be able to help her move some coffee around, and we're going to start pulling samples, sending them off, and getting them cupped. Of course, you know, we're still a little more than halfway through the season, but we're going to try to start getting cuppings on anything that's been dry for more than 30 days. But I'm excited to see what the geisha will do. Of course, the Mario Hipe, I don't know where my numbers are, but I think we're going to have a little more Mario Hipe, and that's the one we won 4th place with. So we've been invited to enter in the Marcala Festival again this year. So we're going to have, I think I'm going to I might put the Anacafe in it according to how it cups. Hey, Brian, how you doing tonight? Hey, Gustavo, how you doing, man? The Geisha 96 now, Gustavo, the Geisha 96 was not mine. It's when I was in cupping school. And the teacher was a guy named Willem Boot, and he owns Finca Esmeralda and Finca Sofia in Panama. And so he won the best of Panama a couple times, but one time he won it with the 96 geisha, and that's what he had in school. And then the next year he won it with the 97 geisha. So the coffee we did, the 96 geisha, I think came from Finca Esmeralda, and I was thinking it was selling for $88 a pound. But at this point, he's so famous that I think he's pre-selling his crops a year ahead. So, and I think there's quantities you have to buy. So at that price, you'd think it's 78 ounces, but he's got a huge school out in California somewhere, and he now works with a big roasting company. But yeah, he's got quite the setup. And he did a roasting school and a cupping. It was mainly a cupping school. The roasting side of it was how to roast samples so that you could cup. But I enjoyed it. It was fun. The government car, the guy they sent out, the government car broke down. And it happened that Willem and I were staying in the same hotel. And so a couple of days, I got to take him with me to school, or I got to drive him to school. And then one day I got lost. We were in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. So one day I got lost. So we ended up driving around another 30 or 40 minutes and got to talk to the guy, know the guy, but he wouldn't leak one single word about farming or coffee or anything. He wasn't going to give away any secrets or any of that. But he was an interesting guy. And I got my little participation certificate or whatever you get. So it was fun. It's been quite a few years ago, and I definitely need to do more cupping and more. I need to take some more roasting classes. That's definitely on my schedule for this year. But yeah, we're going to have a couple more coffees out this year. We're going to have probably less washed coffee this year because of the water problems. We're calling a couple guys. I said a few minutes ago we have a farm in Pavas. So it would be a massive undertaking to move our mill 5 miles up the road. But if there's no solution to this water thing, then that's probably what we're looking at. The upside is the wet mill that Jonathan built looks so much better than any building on the property. Looks so much better than my house. Then we're probably going to be, there probably is going to be some more naturals because that's the easiest thing to do. And I desperately need a little bit of free time in the next couple of weeks. So when I do naturals, it's we just let them ferment for 2 days. And so there'll be 2 days where I don't have to go to Llano. And then once we start going to Llano, I have to go there once or twice a day. And it's an hour and a half to hour and 40-minute drive round trip each time. So you can easily spend 4 hours a day just on the road to the drying field. But yeah, I need some time to get a few projects done here. Just basic stuff, changing oil, I bought 2 gallons of transmission fluid today for my Dodge, and it was $100, so stuff here is expensive. And you would have to do maintenance, and there's a couple things we've got to get built and change up. But one of the things we're looking at is one of these coffee washing systems that uses just hardly any water. Then again, you're talking about $4,000 or $5,000 for a depulper that will work like that. And we spent quite a bit of time getting everything set up the way it is. So it's going to be crazy to think about doing it any different way. But if we were to move the mill, then the wet mill we would fit it up for an apartment. And it's amazing because it's like 20 feet off the ground, and it's got the best view, and he built it's about 4 1/4 feet, and it runs the width of the building. There's a little porch on the front of it. So, I sit out there every once in a while and just hang out. And so we've got a group coming up in June, July. They're coming July 16th. And I'm going to put some of the guys up in there, and we're going to put cots and hammocks in there and just let them stay in there. We're having the finishing touches put on the shower and bathroom that's outside this building here. And in my cupping lab, it sounds snooty, but I have my own bathroom in here. And so Julia's always doing homeschool. Building stuff here, sometimes is more expensive, but if, I built this bathroom, I think for $450. So it's a little walk-in bathroom. I think it's 6 foot by about 4.5. It's tile floors. It's got a sink, it's got a toilet, and that's pretty much all it's got. But it works out perfect. It's got 2 light switches. One of them's a regular light, and the other one are black UV lights. And so when they're doing coffee, she can just grab a tray of coffee, run in the bathroom, and turn on the black lights. And that's how we sort of give her a once over for any kind of mold or anything. So, but we're going to add a shower onto that. So we're trying to make where we can have a lot more groups come out. So this group is going to have from 18 to 21 people. So we're currently I'm a couple $1,000s away from, I think $5,000 away from having this. It's going to be a classroom for the kids on Sunday, but when we have groups come up, we'll be able to pull the chairs out. It's going to have a micro kitchen and a micro bathroom in it. And so when we have groups come, we're going to be able to put them in there. We're going to build 3 high bunk beds that'll sort of snap together and attach to the wall. So I think we'll be able to put 12 people in there. Most of the time when people are coming on mission trips, they're not looking for a 4-star hotel, And so we'll have a couple of bathroom and shower units up on the hill where the project is. And then we're going to have the same thing down here. So whether or not we change the mill up, we'll still have like a little half of it will be used for apartments. So we'll be able to put 4 or 5 guys in there, and there'll be a shower and all within 100 feet of it. And then there's already the shower bathroom unit that's already there. And then of course we have a shower in the house, and a couple of people usually stay in the house. We're definitely going to get ready. We're looking at here in about 3 weeks, we're going to start processing some natural, and the Marciesa is one that we're definitely going to do. I don't think we've processed any natural yet this year. There was like a 5-pound test lot, but I've been fitting up some 55-gallon barrels. We're going to do a couple of anaerobic fermentation this year. We're going to do that on a couple of them. I don't know if we'll do that on the natural, but I'm going to try to take on this next crop that we pick. I think it'll be like Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to pick the Marciesa again. And that's what I'm working on tonight. I have my little book, and we're going to do Paranema, Marciesa, Bourbon, and Ica 2. That's what we're going to start picking on Monday. So when we pick the Marciesa, it'll go straight out to Llano and be dry in there. We're hoping to get through picking by Wednesday, because Wednesday we've got visitors coming to the farm. We've got a doc and his wife coming out. He's a dentist, and so we're hoping to show him the makings of what's going to be our dental clinic, and then see if maybe he'd be interested in helping us set up a permanent dental clinic. We're probably $5,000 away from having all the tooling and all that you need, and then at that point, it'll be grabbing up some monthly support to keep the thing running. I think we're actually going to have 1 day a week where the public can come to it. So when I say public, I mean we're going to try to schedule out wealthier people that can pay to go to the dentist and want just a really nice dentist with a nice, atmosphere and looks clean and all that good stuff. Because I've been to some dental clinics I haven't been to, but that are pretty sketchy. And so we want to have something that's pretty nice. And then if we could do patients 1 day a week for profit, then that's going to help us quite a bit. Or even 1 day every other week, that'll help us quite a bit for supporting the free clinic. And that's what I want to do, is a free dental clinic. But we'll definitely start out with cleanings, and just according to how the donations go, we'll see how that works. But the classroom, they're finishing up the walls today, I think, but at least by tomorrow. And then they'll do what's called a solero. And so they'll frame it up, in a box, put rebar in there, and then they'll pour that full of concrete. And they do that on the 10th or 11th row of blocks. And then over that, they're going to put 2 more rows of blocks. And then I've got a flat roof design that I want to do. And so we'll put 2x4 tubing on top of the building, and then we'll put literally a tin roof on that. And then we'll frame that up, rebar it, and pour a floor basically a floor on top of the building. So eventually we're going to have a coffee shop. And so we're going to have a bridge that goes out to the top of that. And so for the meantime, when we get in June or July, when we get our coffee shop open, you'll have the option to go up there and be on top of the classroom, or what's going to be a little, a mission barracks or whatever, and just have an amazing view and enjoy your coffee. But Sundays, it'll be a classroom for the kids. And anytime a mission team comes up, it'll be where we house some of them. So everything here is sort of multi-use. We try to get our best bang for the buck. But I've only had one pour over today, so I'm dying here. I'm sorry. Yeah, start scratching off, Richard, because we definitely need $1 million. That'd be I would know what to do. I definitely have somebody do all the painting and that stuff. I definitely retire from those jobs. Sunday before church, I'm going to go up and paint the dental clinic, and then I'm going to tomorrow night. I'm set to paint the bathroom for the apartment that the doc and his wife are going to stay in. I finished it up 2 years ago, and I haven't painted it yet, but it's tiled and all that good stuff, and got hot water in it. So. And I think I've got a big leak on the sink somehow or another. But try to get a few things like that done, get ready for them. Anna's planting flowers and stuff on Monday. We got about 30 or 40 plants in the nursery that I'm going to make a little garden. I'm hauling in 2 tons of rock, and we're going to have a rock walkway through the garden and try to make the place look nice for when people come and visit. And we'll cage all the chickens while they're there, because the chickens are a royal pain in the butt. Just get out and poop all over everything, but try to make it nice. Hoping some of you guys can make it up here one of these days. Yeah, and as far as that transmission fluid goes, Richard, I had to drive an hour and a half to go get it. I tried 20 minutes away in that town. Nobody had any. I wanted ATF for the Dodge truck. I like the full synthetic. And so that's, I think it's right at $90. It was 2,100 of their dollars. So I didn't know how much I needed, but I figured 2 gallons would cover it. And they only had it in a gallon jug. So we got 2 gallons. So I hope that does it. But yeah, that's the way it is. Some things are just really expensive, and some things are, who can add a bathroom onto their house for $450? Basically, all I did in here in the lab, there's it's butts up against what we call the inner bodega, and it's a smaller storeroom that's very secure, and that's where I keep the DeWalt tools and any kind of electronics or anything like that. I lock my guns in there when I'm gone, and so we just basically cut a hole in the wall, and then we framed it out, and then we were in that other room, and then we concrete blocked all of that. And you got a bathroom. We put in, we raised the floor about 8 inches to accommodate the pipe for the shower. The bathroom, we just put it out towards the outside wall and dug a septic tank. And so it was a meter by a meter, 3 meters deep septic tank. And then I poured a 5 foot by 5 foot floor, and we just put a air vent on it and ran a 4-inch pipe in there, and now you got a septic tank, and there's no inspections, none of that stuff. So, oh my gosh, Bill, somebody just went on here. The name sounds vaguely familiar. What's up, Bill? Oh no, I hope it's not from drinking my coffee. But yeah, we've got quite a few people interested in coming out this year. And so we've got a group that's wanting to come out in March and do a medical dental clinic, but they've canceled on us twice before. And so I don't think we're going to do it. It might sound petty on me, but one time they were scheduled to come out for 3 days, and they came at about 1 o'clock. They said, we decided to go to Copan and walk across the border into Guatemala and do all that for a couple of days. So they stayed there. We had a bunch of jobs scheduled. We're actually wiring a house for a woman. So we ended up having to finish that up when they were gone or after they left. So, and then I think once or twice since then, they've canceled a clinic pretty short notice. And so I don't think we're going to fool with doing that. But then we've got the group that's coming in June is the group I came here originally with back in 1998. They've been coming consistently for, I guess, 26 years now. And so now it's actually the kids of the adults that were coming. And so Jimmy, one of the guys, he was with another church. There was two different churches. So Jimmy had kids, and one of the kids was like this little bitty girl. And she's actually going to be the doctor on this group. And so the guy that I came with is leading the group. So I'm super excited. I've been trying to get them to come out for a couple of years. But I think the younger generation is wanting to do something different than, just going to that same place we've been going to for 26 years. So they're going to come here this year, and they're wanting to do a bunch of building projects, and they love doing the food containers. So they give out like a month's worth of food to everybody. So this year we're going to do part of that food. Each family will get part of their food in a 5-gallon bucket with a lid. Because it doesn't sound like much, but it's like $5 for a 5-gallon bucket with the lid. And you can sit on it. You can store dry goods in it. A lot of people here pick coffee, with the buckets, and they're expensive, And so we started giving out Christmas buckets when we first came here. And so people just love the buckets. And so not only do they get some food, they get that bucket that's got a lot of use. And yeah, anytime I work on the truck, I got my bucket and I sit on my bucket. I was wiring the other day, putting a whole bunch of lights, little LED lights. I just plastered all the way around my tail light assembly on my big NQR. Y'all can Google. It's an Isuzu NQR. So that's the truck we haul the coffee in. And so every time I'm turning in my driveway, people are trying to pass me on the inside. And I've had maybe 20 near, collisions. So I said, well, I'm going to put enough lights on that sucker that they're going to see it flashing. And so I put half a dozen or so little blue lights around my turn signal. And so just to make sure they see me. So we'll see how it works out. If nobody runs over me ever again, then that's a good investment. Well, Bill, I hope everybody gets to feeling better. The cure might be coffee, but I tell you, the other day I roasted like 10 samples. And we were cupping it and all that, and within the next couple of days, it's just laying here on the table. And I'll have to give you guys a picture of my little cupping happy area, but it's just so easy. And I was doing so much paperwork one day. I bet I made 7 or 8 pour overs that day. And I was laying in bed like 1 o'clock in the morning. It's one of the few times that coffee has ever affected me. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm going to get up and give me a bowl of ice cream and eat something. So I got up at 1 o'clock in the morning and started watching, I think it's Northern Exposure. And just made me some supper and then ate me some ice cream and stayed up for about an hour. But hey, anybody else that's on there, if y'all want to give a shout out, especially got a company like Billy's Bean Barn, holler at us, and I'll definitely give you a shout out if you need to boost your company. Well, I hope everybody gets to feeling better, Bill. And I'm hoping the coffee business is going pretty good. We got a guy that's been doing some roasting for us. I actually taught him to roast the week before I left for Honduras. He roasted a couple times with me, and then he's been going at it. And so we haven't had any complaints on it. There's a couple of coffees we haven't let them roast. The Sargi Moore, Bourbon. There's a couple of coffees, the Full Natural Peaberry that I've got, and the Peaberry in general. Those are harder coffees. But yeah, we need to talk because I've got a breakfast blend also, and mine's got a little bit of natural in it. Mine's got I think it's a washed Perinema. So it's like 40% washed Paranema, 40% honey Lempira, and 20% full natural. Probably shouldn't say that, but that's what it is. I've thought about offering some green packages that have some of our blends in them so that a few guys could try them that do roasted and see if they sell better or worse for you guys than they do for us. But tonight I'm doing a couple of samples. I've got a Fresh Roast 700 without an extension tube on it, old school. And then I've got the 500T Hucky, and then I've got my regular old air popper in the house that I bring out every once in a while. Excuse me. I mainly bring it out when there's Hondurans here that I have never roasted or that are interested in roasting, and show them how easy it is to roast. Because most people here will roast coffee on a flat iron plate on top of the Adobe stove. Same place they would scramble eggs or stuff like that. And so I've had a couple of them roast coffee for me and bring it to me. And it's pretty interesting. Most of the time they bring me the low grade. I want to send some home with a couple of these guys that their wives roast and let them roast some Paranema or something like that for me and see how it tastes. I think it'd be fun to try. I haven't had a coffee person here in a while. So the doc, I asked him questions about, I want to, when you come, I'll fit the apartment to whatever you want. I've put the Fresh Roast out there in the apartment before. I think Ben and Brian had it out there with them, and they just fart around and roast. But they pretty much came in and took over the whole lab. They stayed near all the time and roasted on the Hucky and just did whatever. But I'll fit, this guy said he did an aerial press and he did the French press. So I'll have that and a V60 all in his apartment. And then we'll have an electric kettle and a couple 5-gallon jugs of water. And so when they get up in the morning, they do their pour over. The rest of the time, they'll pretty much be with me. So they'll go out to the farm. They know what they're getting into themselves into somewhat, but they'll go to the farm with me. So when we pick them up on Wednesday, they'll come back. If I can drag them in here, I'll get them to do a podcast. But on the way in from the airport, if they feel like going to seeing the dental clinic, we'll stop. But otherwise, usually the visitor packages, when I pick you up at the airport, you're going to have a cooler with water, a couple of Pepsis. There'll be a pizza, and there'll be some different chips and stuff. Hey, good night, Bill. Hey, thanks for jumping on, man. I'm gonna do another one on Sunday if you guys will let me know what time works for you, and get some of you guys on screen. And I'm gonna do it off the back porch, and I'm gonna cover a couple different things with coffee. But if you guys got any ideas, hit me with them. But no, normally when you come visit the farm, the first day is pretty easy, and then we try to do fun coffee stuff. So we've got a tour set up at the local mill, and so they're going to get to watch coffee being processed there. May or may not have coffee here to process, but they'll for sure get to go out to the drying fields and see us drying some coffee, and get to go out and pick coffee. And then we'll have them in here. I don't know if he's ever roasted or not, but we'll roast some coffee. And for anybody like Bill and Richard that roast, they'll get to, if they were out here, they could just have at it. And all you have to do is tell Anna which coffee you want, and she'll go and pull it, weigh it, and then she'll come in here to we have a laboratory size Trigadora that deholes the coffee. And then we got one that does like 600 pounds an hour. And so, but everything here is miniaturized for the lab. So she'll trigger the coffee and dehull it, and then she'll take it over to the selecting table. And that's what she did this morning. She said, what 2 coffees? I said, I want to try 2 coffees. I wanted to try 2 coffees. People talk about fresh coffee, and they don't realize a lot of times what fresh coffee really is. And so this coffee hit 13% yesterday. And so I'm going to roast it tonight and just give it a try. I'll probably try it tonight, and then I'll try it again on Sunday. What is today? Wednesday. I'll try it again probably Friday or Saturday, something like that, and just see what it tastes like and see what fresh is. People in specialty coffee here sort of have the general consensus is you need to age your coffee for 90 days. I mean, for 30 days. We do 90 days. And so the 90 is the minimum. Of course, when you're picking from 1st of January through the middle of March or end of March, you're going to have coffee that's 90 days old. You're going to have coffee that's 150 days old. So the longer you age it, to a point, it's going to rot, at some point. But the longer you age it in parchment, in ideal conditions, is theoretically, or the consensus is that it's supposed to extend the shelf life of the green coffee. And I believe it, because I've got a 2016 bag up there that tastes awful, but it still tastes as good as some of the coffee I bought in airports. And so that's 8 years old, and we roasted in the 4-ounce samples, every year just to sort of see what it is. I lost 2017, but I've got the 2018, 2019 coffee up there. Not long ago, we cupped the 2019, 2020 coffees, and they taste fine. They may not still be an 86 or something like that, but they're still fine. And they may not even be specialty grade, but they're still fine coffees. But I generally sell all our coffee every year, so it hasn't been an issue. But the longer we can have it, a higher quality, the better off we are. Well, I think we talked about visiting the farm. That was one of the viewer questions. Somebody was asking, how can we support the farm? Buy coffee, send checks. Buying the coffee helps us, which helps, everybody here. Anna's going to have a lot of coffee this year, so there's going to be quite a bit more Finca Anna, and of course that helps her. The ones I'm roasting tonight, they both are. One of them is a hard fermented red honey Marciesa, and the other one is a 1-day fermented red honey Marciesa. I am doing one of Anna's Perinamas. I almost think it might be a geisha in there. I'm not sure. She said she pulled 2 extra coffees. So no, there's a Sargi Moore, and that's Anna's. That's one she bought off the street. But then I think there might be a geisha in there. I'll post when I do it. And then Julia's going home next Wednesday. And so I'm planning on sending a few coffees with her. So anybody that's watching, you guys are never harassing me. So, but I forget. Julia told me today when I was getting in the car to text somebody, or to text the guy that works for us, because he couldn't figure out how to use, he needed a password for the Square. A customer was trying to swipe the card, and I forgot about it. And so I don't know if we have a policy, if we can't get the card to go through, we just give you the coffee. The hard fermented is going to be that next step closer to like a full natural. And I like it because a lot of times it actually has a little bit of the flavor. It gets on those back parts of your tongue. I mean, and maybe even doing your jaw, like a good citrusy, drink would or something like that. It's got a tart, winey kind of taste to it when we hard ferment it. And I enjoy that. Those are some of my favorite coffees. But you can easily go too far and ruin the coffee. But this looked good. It was the exact same lot, but we didn't have enough workers to finish picking it on Tuesday. And so the lot is called Marciesa Tuesday and Marciesa Wednesday. So what happened was Tuesday, I just said leave it sitting out on the patio in the sun until the coffee Wednesday is fermented for a day. So one of the lots, fermented more. And when we took it out to the drying field and laid them out, it was 2 completely different colors. And what was really crazy is the coffee that was older should have been a tiny bit drier, and the newer coffee should have been wetter. But after they were both there for 3 days, the coffee that was younger, it was a day younger than the other coffee, dried first. So the harder fermented coffee dried slower than the other coffee. So I don't understand. I'm not sure, the science behind that or why it happened. So we'll probably do it a couple more times just to see, what happened. But guys, I am going to get to roasting. I've been yawning all the time. I've got my little Sargie Moore here, and so I'm gonna finish drinking that. I actually liked it pretty well, and so I hid it from my wife. So I have some caramel candies that I hide, and then I've got I hid my Sargie Moore, and so I weighed it tonight. I got 3 more ounces of roasted Sargie Moore. So I'm gonna have the shop mail some coffee to this guy that's coming up on Wednesday. Hopefully they only mail out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So hopefully if it gets mailed out Friday, he'll get it before he flies out. I'm going to get him to stick about 4 pounds of coffee in the mail. So hopefully I'll get some. Yeah, you got to have some things for yourself. And we share a bed, we share kids, we share lots of different things. But I'm holding on to that Sargie Moore. And I gave her some of the first bag, but I only had an 8-ounce bag. It was the end of the barrel. And so I just ended it. I just dumped it into a bag, and it was like 8 or 10 ounces. So I've been, for the last month, I've been just drinking a little bit every once in a while. So I figured tonight I could sit down for an hour, do the podcast, and I actually get to drink a little Sargie Moore and see how I like it. But guys, I did a push a couple of weeks ago and tried to get to 500 subscribers. I got to 490, and then I had to unfriend one of them for reasons that I'll tell you offline. But so I'm down to, and it's bounced up and down a couple of times. So a couple of people followed, and then within a day or two, somebody left. So I'm at 487. I'm desperately trying to get up to 500, and so we'll have to see how that goes. But if you guys have any ideas, especially Barry, if you're still watching, you're sort of an internet guy. You've really made your coffee popular, and I've just got to figure out how to get more followers and how to maybe be more interesting, or some topics that you guys think about that I need to cover. If you've got people that are new into coffee, let's see if we can get them to watch and ask some questions. But I really want to make a night. If you guys, a lot of you guys are probably in a loop together and talk together sometimes. But let's talk a little bit and see if you guys are willing to help me out a little bit on how to make this grow. I think I've got a great thing going on here. Yeah, but we're trying to do a media thing this week where I'm going to print and laminate a bunch of little flyers, trying to get the kids to come to the library. A lot of them see it like school, where they have to read books. We're trying to get them to come to the library. We actually set aside $250. March the 2nd, we'll do a quick podcast on March the 2nd. It's going to be from the kids' library, and we're going to have a kids blow it out day. So Eli's probably going to do a 10 or 15 minute. He's going to try to teach them Chung Ji, which is a Taekwondo. He's going to try to teach them first 4 moves of Chung Ji. It's a Taekwondo form. We're going to do cornhole. We're going to do tons of different games. It's just going to be hopping them up on Pepsi and sugar and chips. But our goal is to have over 100 kids come to the library to learn a little bit more about what the library really is. March the 15th, the schools start coming. So the schools here don't have a library. So some of the schools that are close enough or that have volunteers that can drive them are going to start coming here. They did it last year. They've done it every year for 2 years. They'll start bringing their whole classroom and just reading in the library for like 2 hours. And just each school does it 1 day a week. And so it gives the kids something to, they can mark the book until they come for a while and they get a recommendation from the teacher. They can't take the book home with them. A lot of them just won't bring it back or to get damaged. But we have a lot of multiple books. And so those are on the list where if we've got more than 3 copies of a book, we'll loan it out. And it's worked out pretty good. So we're going to try to do that again this year. But we're going to have a blow it out party, and I'll do a quick 10 or 15 minute podcast where you'll get to see the kids. And if we can even hear over it, I'm hoping we can. But I'll get the mic set up and my headphones where I can, get with you guys a little bit. But yeah, those are some of the projects we're trying to get going. And then ultimately have those kids, because it's actually in the church building, invite those kids too to come to church. So we're going to try to give them out some flyers and stuff about church and about salvation and stuff like that. The books do have to be in Spanish, and I probably should do a big push to buy some more books and see if we can ship them to Tennessee. That's where the group is that's coming in July. So that would be a fun project to do, try to get another 100 books or so. Actually, right now, what we need to do is finish the kids' classroom. It's the roof I'm going to put on it is super expensive because it's a 4-inch concrete reinforced roof, so that eventually we're running out of mountains, so we're going to have to build up. So the next classroom we build will be a second floor. So that's why we're not putting a pitched roof on it. We're going to put that on there. And so just that roof itself is $2,300. So, and then, we want to buy higher quality chairs, because every week we're buying 1 or 2 chairs, the plastic ones that they break. So we need to have 25 of the chairs. I forget what they cost, but they're like $18, $20 a piece because they're made out of metal and wood. But they're stackable. And then we need materials to build bunk beds and all that. So, there's a lot of the classroom need. The preacher's driving the librarian crazy because they're doing classroom in the library, and the church kids get into the library books, and then she has to reorganize and stuff. And so they desperately need a classroom. And if your church has a problem, having too many kids coming is the problem you want to have. So we started our church out as a kids' church, and then it morphed into, there's like 15 adults that are coming every week now, and upwards of 30, 35 kids that are coming a lot of Sundays. So it's time for a new classroom. But we're probably $5,000 away from having that classroom done. I really need to put pen to paper and figure out exactly. But those are some of the things we need to finish up. Right now we have 700 books. But if you have a good, a good avenue to pick up some books, and we'll definitely figure out how to get them here. But I need to find classrooms, church classrooms, Sunday school classes that'd be willing to support the library or something like that. Because when the schools come, we have to have a librarian for that day. And it's like $25. And then we do some basic snacks, which is another 10. Just to keep the kids, just give them something fun to do. They're not just having to read for 2 hours. They're going to have a snack midway through. And then at the end, they do a little bit of English class, and then they do fun games for about 30 minutes, and then they have to go back to school. But yeah, I'm really excited about the March 2nd, the Kids Fun Day. The kids really love it. I usually stay for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then I leave. I've already had fun days with my kids. So they just drive me crazy after a while because they are so incredibly loud. Concrete walls and a metal roof just echo like crazy. They are loud. So we have 8 mothers that are going to volunteer that day. And I'll keep the story short, but the first Fun Kids Day we had, we actually invited 30 kids. 112 kids showed up. So I got on the phone and I got Santos up here, and I'm like, help me, because he was coming anyway, but I said, hurry up. And so we thought we could handle 30 kids, and I said, call your wife and tell her to call every wife we have and offer them all $10 each if they'll come right now, because the bus ride's $1. I said, tell them to come right now. And then I gave, because kids just kept coming in and kept coming in and kept coming in. And so I gave him like $25. And I said, send the oldest kid you can find, send him to the store and just tell him to buy all the Pepsis he can carry. And just get us some Pepsis here and get us some chips here. And we'll keep feeding the kids until the moms get here. And that's what we did for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, the moms started showing up. And it was a really good class. And that's how the church started. So, but guys, I'm looking at like 2 hours of roasting once I get everything prepped and set up. But I'll try to shoot some video of the roasting tonight. I've got some videos I'm going to post when I get offline of us pulping today. It was Eli's first day to run the machine by himself. He still can't crank it, but we're going to work on that tomorrow. And so it's a 25 horse hand crank diesel engine. So we're going to work on that tomorrow. But shoot me some questions during the week, something that even if it's dumb questions or you think are dumb questions, people that you guys roast for. And Gustavo, shoot us up with something and plan on being on here either Sunday or next Wednesday. Plan on coming in on screen with me and let's talk a little bit ahead of time about your coffee venture and all what you do with coffee. And let's put together some podcasts that either are brewing, roasting, or something like that. Thanks, guys, for being on. Like us, share us, tell a friend, all those good things. But thanks. Have a good night. And we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, everybody.